Perfect. There we go. We're good to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Whiteman. A big warm welcome to each and every one of you. We do acknowledge, as Gary said, your contribution, the contribution of your time and into yourself and your business. And also the topic today, just in case anybody had any confusion, it'll be a business focused call. So yes, we will be talking about Ambrotose Life and how amazing it is and some of the unique qualities of it. But it's about the main topic today is to help to assist you being successful in sharing that with current and future clients and partners. So as we always say, it's our privilege to be here each and every week, Gary and Diana and myself. It's altruistic and selfish at the same time. We gain so much from sharing this hour together with you and with our great speakers, and today is no exception. The notice went out to just have Michael Vanderhoof, but I'm very excited to welcome JoEllen. She's a regular contributor to our region, and she has a team here in New Zealand. And so I know she has got vast experience, and I love her. I love both of you, actually. You have your own unique style of sharing the gifts of Manotick, and I'm very appreciative for your contribution here. I'd like to share a little bit about their background. Michael Vanderhoof is a business leader in Manotick, US, who came to Manotick after a head-on auto accident 40 years ago left him seeking answers. Western medicine offered little help, and search for the best body workers and wellness products to support his health eventually led him to Manotick. He considers it a blessing to have been introduced to Manotick and claims it directed him onto the path of wellness. Michael was part of Dr. Nugent's first meetings in his Southfield, Michigan, when they're putting 70 to 80 people in the conference room that only seated 35. Michael shares his passion for glyconutrients, real food nutrition, and incredible ethics and integrity of Manotick. Now, JoEllen is a bronze presidential in Manotick. She's a veteran and a certified life coach, and she loves Manotick. After years of corporate, government, and community service, it is rewarding to work in a profession that's such a significant and positive global impact. Partnering with her husband, committed business partners, and loyal clients, she is passionate about providing a sustainable, plant-based solution to malnutrition in young children. They didn't start out warmly welcoming Manotick, though. A client had introduced them to the innovative nutrition products and network marketing. Rudely rejecting it several times, Robert finally tried the products after hearing the heartfelt story of a man facing similar challenges. He began to feel wonderful and told everyone within 30 feet of him. I know a few of us can identify with that. And JoEllen, who had years of nutritional study, remained scathing in her resistance, but tried the products only with the agreement for Robert to stop talking to her about them. Later, when they gave their products to someone in need, JoEllen started to feel the difference in her quality of life. So JoEllen and Michael, thank you so very much for being here this morning. It's a very exciting topic. I love Ambrotose, as we all do. So thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So I think probably be good because I'm scanning who's here, and some of them haven't been on a call with either of you before. So I think it's good to give 3 or 5 minutes or something just to talk about that journey into Manotick. So JoEllen, did you want to go first?
Sure. I always tell people, take a good look at me, because I am that skeptic that you face every day. And not just a kind skeptic. I was scathing and rude, and to everybody who tried to talk to me, I called it snake oil. But when I finally agreed to take it, and like Sharon said, I didn't notice it at first until I ran out. So if you run into skeptics like me, get them to try it under money-back guarantee. And when they run out, if they do, then call them a couple weeks later and ask them how they feel, because it was a shock to me that after years of studying nutrition, that some product in a pot could do more for me than years of healthy eating. And, after listening to Dr. Nugent and know that food is so badly damaged, I learned more, and I continue to learn more. I learn more on these calls. But it was an interesting journey, and I was not terribly coachable and trainable. So I was your worst nightmare. But I've been in Manotick now for 20 years and more loyal than I could ever be. And sometimes those skeptics become your most loyal people, because people will grab at anything fast will grab at anything fast, the next bright, shiny ball that gets thrown their way. Skeptics tend to do their due diligence and really get to know the products and the company. And then one thing about skeptics like me, I'm an analyst, the one thing I don't like to be is wrong. So when I commit to something, I do my homework, and then I stay around and I stick. So I may have been the skeptic, but I have a lot of skeptics in my business, and they're some of my most loyal customers and business builders. And that's the journey that I've taken. And so I'm patient with skeptics, and I just keep coming back until they get all the information they need to sell themselves.
That's great advice. I can confess to being a skeptic myself when I first started. And Michael, your journey was a little bit different. You were looking.
I was. Probably since the late 70s, I had been fascinated with aloe and all the stories and the history and whatnot. And in fact, towards the later 80s, I found an aloe company I was working with, and they were using some research that was done by the original Carrington Lab group, Terry Pulse and Dr. McDaniels and so forth. And they weren't following what they were doing. They were just using the research. And so I wasn't real happy with the results I was getting from that company, but it kept me, there was something that just kept haunting me about the potential for what aloe could do. And so when I'd done some personal growth work and was really thinking about what I would like to have in an ideal career. And I'd had enough experience with network marketing to know the value of leverage and the ability to include people. Of course, the old adage is the good news is network marketing is a people business, and the bad news is network marketing is a people business. But I liked the model. I liked the model, but I knew if I was going to step into it, it had to be a product that was so compelling, powerful, effective. That people would continue to take it and the retention rate would be high enough, because most of what I see out there in the industry involves products that, in fact, I talked to Ty Triple about this, and he says, he's been about 5 or 6, he's been at the top of the pay plan of 5 or 6 companies. And so he was saying that the average customer retention rate's somewhere between 3 and 9 months. And I was going, that's just reminds me of the old Ed Sullivan show here in the States, where the guys would get up and spin plates and try to keep a stage full of plates going in the air all the time. And that did not appeal to me. So, but if I was going to do the model, I wanted something that would provide great customer retention. And most people in network marketing don't even think of customers. They think, well, I'm just going to get business builders in, and we're going to get other business builders and whatnot. But the reality is, you've got to, if you don't found this on the products, and I've watched a lot of really great people come and go because their focus was on the money, and it wasn't so much on what this could do for people, and in the process of doing that, build a solid foundation for the business. And that's what I was looking for, and that's what I found with Manitech. And just kept getting better from the early days you talked about with Dr. Nugent. I call them the Mandelo Phytalo Plus days. What do you got going on? Well, take Mandelo and Phytalo and Plus, And that was pretty much the standard format, and it still made sense. That's the foundational stuff. If you think about what we're doing now, it's Ambrotose and optimal support, or whatever variation you guys, I know, do some different variations in Australia. But, Plus and a vitamin, and I think you guys are doing omega-3s as part of your bundle. But all stuff that we need is foundational things to keep your heart and circulatory and all that stuff. But the idea, when I started hearing why aloe initially worked in the cell communication story, that I've just been probably too nerdy about the science, because I love digging into all that stuff. And we went through that phase of feeling the need to be glycobiologists and know everything about it, and I still want to know everything about it, but I'm past having to replicate that, because helping people feel like they need to know all that stuff shuts them down, in large part, but to many people. And so for the people that need to know, hey, come and call me, I can talk to you. But we needed something that was simpler. And I sent you a couple things by email before this about, there's a comparison chart, there's a tracking sheet, there's a 1-page, I think it's a 2-page, it's a 2-page overview of the benefits, just a benefit sheet of what Ambrotose is. And that, combined with the new Ambrotose Life video, I think give people enough to share that with other people. And like you say, if you run into a skeptic, say, look, take it for, 3 months, 6 months, whatever you want. And if you're not convinced yourself, I usually tell them take it 5 months, because here in the States, we can do a $200 optimal support Ambrotose combo pack, which works out to about the limit of the guarantee, the $1,000 limit. And that gives you a month after that to feel the difference, like JoEllen said. To go without, if you've been doing this for 5 months and you go without it a full month, you're going to go, oh, you are going to notice a difference. And so that's, I think for our skeptics out there, use the guarantee. I mean, it's there for a reason. And the reality is we have less than a 1% return rate with the best guarantee in the industry that I've ever found. So that's kind of the foundation piece that I was looking for. It really involves product and business. I knew you need the product for the solid foundation, and you need the business for leverage. So
fantastic, thank you. And speaking of your passion for aloe, we're in probably in the best sweet spot ever in Manatech with our aloe technology. Like nothing
Absolutely.
can touch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I try and make claims about it, but they can't touch it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's great advice, Michael, and for everybody listening. We do need to understand the features of Ambrotose Life, so we will start with a little bit of focus on that. But when we get into how to share it, it's going to be all about the benefits. So, we're doing a bit of coaching with that in our team as well, and sometimes, especially for our new partners, understanding the difference between a feature and a benefit. So the stabilized rice bran is a feature. The benefit is, better sleep, a lot more energy, and your authentic story is going to be a really important part of that. But I'm wondering, JoEllen, and I actually didn't go to Manifest, so I haven't had the blessing of hearing Dr. Nugent live. I know there's, lucky you, I know there's a recording of him on the Manatech Live site. But for today's people listening today, can we just touch on some of the differences in the Ambrotose Life? I'm not sure if you guys decided how to do this part, but
Michael's going to handle that part, and I'll jump in a little bit.
Okay, perfect.
When I talk with existing people, I hit the key differences first. What you mentioned, one of them, having the stabilized rice bran instead of rice starch, and we needed the rice starch in the other two formulas. Sort of the way I understood it from Dr. Nugent, is more like a triggering mechanism to help the other glyconutrients work more effectively. But now we've got a nutritional element that we didn't have before added to the core Ambrotose product. So that's one of the key things I start with. The other two are really detox elements: the modified citrus pectin and the sodium alginate, which is the cell wall from algae. And I think I know they get the wakame as part of that as well. But anyway, the point is they're both detox points to pull out heavy metals and other toxins out of the body. Because if you think about the fact that human beings are pretty much we're hardwired. We're designed for wellness. We start out with these amazing immune systems, the ability to protect ourselves, the ability to repair. I usually use the analogy, look, if you cut your finger and you don't have to go to the hospital for stitches, you let it bleed for 4 minutes to get some bacteria out. It starts to clot so you don't bleed to death. It starts to knit back together, and 2 weeks later you didn't know you were cut. So it's a way for people to get their head around the fact that the body's a miracle. It really is amazing that all the stuff we take for granted is really this gifted inheritance we have we're supposed to be well. And I think it gives us some leeway to talk to people about why this works without getting into disease-specific issues, and which we can't now, and we have to be compliant with the rules. And I think it's more accurate, because if the challenge is, if somebody comes to me with a specific health problem, whatever that be, I won't name one, but it doesn't matter on one side whether they're underactive or overactive immune system, and they take it and it gets better. By the time, it's like sharing a story and around the room, and by the time it shares through a couple of different people, all of a sudden it's curing stuff, and that's a natural human tendency. So I think if we can begin to talk about the fact that, look, you can't even imagine all the ways that you are naturally well and are hardwired for it. I mean, our subconscious mind. I mean, none of us would make it through the night if we had to remember to breathe every 3 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. So it's that I talk to people about that, and that Ambrotose really just provides a necessary if you get the right nutrients in and you detox the body, everything else stays on track. So that I'd like to simplify it first before we get into the weeds about what it is. We can talk about the benefits in terms of energy and thinking better. There's studies out there about brain health. You guys did them in Australia, and all the wonderful things it does. I think with this, I noticed myself that my cognitive, my alertness level, the energy level, the ability, we all have those moments where we're going, what was that actor's name, or what was that thing I came into this room for that you forgot about when you got there? And I just noticed that it's the thing will come back quicker, or I'll remember fast. So, and this is after taking this stuff for 22 years. I was there when we transitioned from Manalo to Ambrotose in 1996, and so I've been taking a lot of Ambrotose for a long period of time, and to notice a difference at that level, I think is substantial. So those, like I said, those are the big parts of it. JoEllen, you can dive into some of the nuances if you want to as well. But I'd like to focus people that way, just to say this is the reason. One more thing I'll cover before I turn it over. The reason I was on the council when we really started the discussion on Ambrotose Life, and we talked about the fact that it was confusing to have Ambrotose and advanced Ambrotose, and which one do I recommend? And if I've got this thing going on, it's really a compliance nightmare if you think about it. And absolutely. So we wanted a product that was so much better than either of them, that the answer would be just take Ambrotose Life. In this case, we didn't have a name for it then, but just take this one version of Ambrotose, and we don't have to get into the weeds about what the differences are, because when we went from Manalo to Ambrotose, we saw such profound differences in most people. And some people, because of toxicity issues or whatever, couldn't handle it. They were detoxing too fast and whatnot. But once we kind of got grounded in an Ambrotose complex, we went to the leaders went to the company, says, you have to guarantee us that you're never going to change this formula, right? And they admitted to that. Yeah. And I think they will keep it around as long as people buy it. So I don't think it's going anywhere. But I think what will happen is, I believe this formula is so much better that it's going to gradually diminish the demand for Ambrotose complex, and this will be the Ambrotose complex. And so that was sort of the origins for how we got here. And I look at this formula, and you're going to have fun with Dr. Nugent when he comes, because it's just amazing to hear him talk about it. He gets so excited about this. He's walked away from a very lucrative, very sweet practice he got to go home every night for, to do this stuff and travel around the world because of acetylated beta-mannans, which is the core part of aloe, and what that has done and how it's progressed through the years and how we've advanced the formula and whatnot. So have fun. Go ahead,
yeah, it
JoEllen.
starts on the 12th of September. In Singapore, and then through our region.
And are you in? It's in Brisbane first, right? Is that the closest one?
No, it's in Singapore and then Brisbane.
Yeah.
So Singapore is part of our region, New Zealand.
Yeah. When it gets to Australia, it comes to you guys first, I think, right? You're closest to that?
Yeah, that's right. It's only an hour away from me.
The only thing I really want to add is that whenever they change the formula, there's always pushback. People don't like change. So I reach out to my most loyal Manatech Ambrotose users and ask them to give me their honest feedback. Would you help me? This is a new product, and I know you've been a loyal customer for years. So as we started to do that in Europe, because a lot of them came to Manifest, so they were able to take it back to Europe and test it. They just rolled it out this past week, or 2 weeks ago. They had a chance to pre-launch some evangelists for the product before the product came. And I didn't go to Manifest this year because of my husband's health challenges, but I had them bring me products, get me products, bring me products, before they headed back to England and the Netherlands and Germany and all the other places. And I have to tell you, when you make a change to another product and you're a skeptic like I am, and I still am, I'm like, okay, so is this something new? For some of us, remember there was an interim advanced Ambrotose, but we won't go there. I was a little hesitant all over again. It was like back before I signed up for Manatech. When I started taking it, I didn't notice anything at first, but I forgot to change my order from Ambrotose Complex to Ambrotose Life. And after taking it for a month or two, the next month I was back to Ambrotose. I noticed the difference immensely. And I didn't think, like Michael, I didn't think I would notice a difference. But the change was there. Again, in the cognitive, especially for me, who has some challenges. And in stress levels, I found that because I'm not struggling to stay focused, because my focus is better, I'm able to let things slide more readily off my back. So there's cognitive, there's mood, there's energy. I have much more clarity. I wake up after 6 hours sleep and I really feel like I did when I first started with Ambrotose. Like, wow, I'm just raring to go. So there's a lot of neat things about this new product. And I'm hearing consistently the same thing from each person that tries it. You know, the everyday things that we take for granted before we've ever had Manatech products, when we get the Manatech products in us, sometimes, like giving birth to a child, a mother forgets what birthing pains are like. Thank goodness or there'd be so few children. Well, the same thing happens when you've got aches and pains that go away. They go away slowly. You don't notice them until they all come back at once. So I really have to teach people to pay attention. And if they're really stubborn, I say, stop taking it. Go cold turkey. Stop taking them. And then I call them a few days later. Notice anything? So it's an interesting thing. They don't like change. They're resistant to it. And they have to give it a fair trial. But what I like about the Ambrotose Life, I have to get used to the new naming now. What I like about Life in general is that it's easy to swallow. My husband has some swallowing challenges. It dissolves. There's no graininess. That in itself, for so many people, for young kids, for fussy kids, for kids who have challenges that are very sensitive to textures, for a lot of seniors that have swallowing problems, it goes down so easily. And tastes a lot better than the advanced Ambrotose. That O to C was a little bit more than O to C to me, and it didn't taste so good in half the drinks. This tastes fine in just pure water, and I've never been able to do that. And I can put it on my tongue and swallow it, and I've never been able to do that with any Ambrotose out there. So texture, ease of swallowing, ease of dissolving, those are benefits that we take for granted. A lot of people who stop taking Ambrotose, it's because it's so hard to take. They don't know how to put it, how to mix it, what to do with it. So when I talk about how I market it, keep those benefits in mind, because you may be thinking of people that you've had shared this with who said, oh, I don't like the taste of it. Remember those things, because they're great talking points for revisiting them again.
Great. And are you talking about the flavored slim sticks or the plain one that's in
the plain? Both. The flavored slim sticks are quite flavorful, and they're a little more pricey because of that. But for people who like ease of use and are traveling, teachers, people on the road, fabulous product. But just the plain Ambrotose Life is very palatable. It doesn't have a cloying aftertaste. It's really quite nice.
It does mix well too. If you don't want to buy the swim sticks, you can put it in any kind of juice or water or whatever.
I make a latte every day, and it goes right in my latte and blends in as lovely as you could imagine. So that's been a big selling point to my team, a huge selling point. It's a great benefit, and one we don't think about when we're used to taking it. But I've lost quite a few customers to that lack of dissolvability.
Cool. And before we get into the sharing of it, can you make any comment on regards to, if long-term users experiencing any detox reaction or cleansing response after changing?
Yeah, my husband had a response. My husband has an autoimmune condition that sometimes has some digestive issues, doesn't have good motility in his stomach. And so as we introduced the Ambrotose Life, I noticed there's been some revisiting of old things and some digestive things going on. But other things like thinking and energy, much better. So I'm willing to give it 3 or 4 months, which is what it took in the beginning for him to see a profound difference. Yeah. I'm game.
No, it's a good point too. If you know you've got somebody who's very toxic or they've had a health challenge for a while, just start them slow. I mean, it's always better to, JoEllen, I think you'd mentioned starting Bob on some kind of fiber. He's using Manaclins, but you guys don't have that there. But something to start slow to get the body acclimated to it. Go ahead, JoEllen.
I was just going to, okay. I always start people on some kind of digestive things if they've got issues like my husband. Anybody who's got digestive issues, swallowing issues, I like to start them out with some fiber. I know you guys have GI Pro Balance. We're blessed. We have Mana Cleanse, and it's now in a capsule form. I don't know when they'll roll that out globally, but I know they're working hard on it. That's why they took it out of the caplet form. I always start people who have issues like that out with some digestive things. Even if I have to do an outside source of enzymes in other countries, I do it just to get their gut ready for good nutrition. And I may do it for 3 days before I have them start their Ambrotose, just so I can see what's going on with them. After 20 years, I found that being able to digest the products and make them bioavailable, as they say, is vitally important. And if they've got a lot of gunk and a lot of years of bad nutrition, they've got some detoxing to do. And I'd rather do it gently with some fiber and some enzymes and some probiotics before I start with the Ambrotose, because they're less expensive and I don't want to have pushback against the Ambrotose. So I want them to know that everybody goes through a process of getting ready.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's miraculous what the body can do when it's just with nutrition, isn't it? It's just, it always astounds me. What about True Pure? That'd be good.
Best detox product ever.
We've got that.
Amazing.
I think Don Partridge, that call on Roy Thurston's call with Don Partridge was the most amazing conversation about True Pure that I've ever heard. He talked about the Japanese raisin and all the detail. He went into some great detail. I can get you the phone number if you don't have it, Sharon. But
that would be great.
It's archived. It's well worth listening to.
Yeah, it'll be up until next Monday anyway when they record over them. So.
Well, but they keep if you call Roy, he'll give you the number for it, and even though the new call's up, you'll still be able to get the old archive, and it would be worth listening to, or having Dr. Nugent do a call with you on it, because that True Pure, I have friends who've suffered for years with all kinds of elevated levels in their body, and they started doing the True Pure, and their doctor said, "What are you doing differently? I've never seen numbers like this." So,
well, I can see a request going to Don Partridge for next Saturday, I reckon.
There you go.
Yeah, I think so. I think you would do really well.
Have him do that call over again. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll say you're dropped in. That's an Australian saying. So, fantastic. So, for everybody listening, if you have someone, like I've started someone who had quite a severe health challenge, life-threatening, wanted to go very quickly up with the Ambrotose, and definitely used True Pure, and she really just a slightly lower energy, but didn't really have a big response. So I think that's something to keep in mind. And as associates, especially some of us long term, some people, I had a 1.5 year stair-step recovery when I first started. I was so sick and toxic and vaccine overdosed being a nurse, and all those things.
Yeah.
It was really important for me to open the sort of cleansing pathways and understanding the power of that process that nutrition can do in the body.
And that's where your follow-up is so important. I feel a great responsibility when I start people on these products, especially people with health challenges. I feel like I owe it to them to monitor what's going on and to guide them. Because change, like I said, is very difficult for people. And I have a system of how I follow up with them, how I even start them on the products when their products arrive. Open your box. We open the box together. I have them get some water. I have them take the products the first time. I have them do a very small amount for the first few days. Then I have them take a little bit more. Then we go to the full amount within 2 weeks for people who have a lot of health challenges. But I'm there walking them through it. It's a lot of work up front, but the return is that they're very loyal. So I invest time up front with them for the first few months. And then after that, they're on my follow-up list to contact at least once a month for 5 or 10 minutes. And if I do that with each of my customers once a month for 5 or 10 minutes, if I do one a day, I can handle 20 personal customers a month. And that's what I find most people have is 20 personal customers, 20 or 30 personal customers that they personally have recruited, or prospected, and brought in. And that's a commitment that I think serves us well, serves Manatech well, builds loyal customers, and builds our best referral base because they don't have to figure it out themselves.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
when we visited, after we lost a lot of customers during all the ups and downs, when I reached out to people a couple of years later and asked them, how did you get started? What did you like? Why did you stop? The shocking thing was that most of the answers were, I had unanswered questions, and they didn't know where to go for the answer, which was a slap in the face to me, and I felt very guilty. But I didn't let that happen again. Unanswered questions, whether it was about the company and what was going on or the products, and what, didn't matter. It was unanswered questions. How do I take the Ambrotose better so it doesn't gag me? Unanswered questions will lose you customers and will cut off your residual income, which is what we're really working to build. So be loyal to them and they'll be loyal to you.
Really, our residual income depends on masses of people being happy with what they're getting. And sometimes it takes an education or a coach to assist them in seeing the results and the benefits and helping them understand.
Well, you know, we've always had a high customer orientation with Manatech, even though we signed everybody up as associates back in the early days because the cost differential made sense to do that. Now, I mean, this compensation plan was designed for a JoEllen Donnelly. It's just 20 years late for her. That's all. You know, so. With that customer orientation and the higher PPV, and you know, keeping your volume levels high at each level and maximizing the unilateral, it's a perfect plan for what she's describing. Yeah. And doing that customer service and training the new people that you are bringing in as partners on how to do those aspects. That is the foundation for a very successful business with this comp plan, with anybody's comp plan, but this one especially.
Yes, fantastic. So I wanted to, with third remaining about 25 minutes, I wanted to cover on opening the door with current clients and what to say and how to share. Probably with new people, has your opening education changed at all with the new Ambrotose Life opening to some people, and then probably even some keep in touch methods, because I think different touch points with your customers I think is really important. So
yeah, this section is why I asked JoEllen to be on the call.
I have a system for everything. You know, sometimes my life gets distracted, but I do have a system for it. When I hear a new product's coming out, like Ambrotose Life or the sports products and things, I go in and do a report in Success Tracker. And I'll do it leg by leg. If you're brand new, you could run your whole organization. But if you have a big organization, I do one leg at a time. And I use the Success Tracker reports. And I saw you just had an updated Success Tracker guide there. Number 7, how to use the reports in that guide, is pivotal. And it shares that there's a link you can go to get more details on the Success Tracker page. I would encourage you to do it. I run a report and I make it customized so that I can see who had the largest lifetime buying purchases. So I look for their lifetime buying. I look to see if they're on automatic order. I look to see if they've ordered in the last 6 months. I look to see when they signed up. So I'm looking to see what their spending habits are, because I may not be personally familiar with all of them, because I did not recruit all of them, enroll them. So I'm looking to see what the pattern is. And if I see people who have had high spending and have been involved for a few years, I will then search their number in my orders under the main page of Manatech. So I go in and I put their number in, and I look to see what were their purchases last year. Now, if they haven't ordered in more than that time, then I have to reach out and call them and ask, what did you took our products, what products did you take, what did you like, why did you stop? So I need to rebuild a bridge with them. But people who have ordered in the last 2 years are really my target now, because they're loyal, and the ones who spent the most money, I want to see if they were using Ambrotose, or were they using skincare, whatever. If they're using Ambrotose, and I'm marketing and I'm heading for the Ambrotose Life launch, I reach out to them, and again, thank you for being a loyal customer. I'd really like, to get your feedback, and I would like you to be able to sample this new product. So if I send you a sample of the product, will you take it, and would you answer a few questions for me to help me better serve other people? People like to help people. Reciprocity. I give you something for free for you to try. People like reciprocity. And so I do that with some of my top people. Now, there's some people who've only been in a short time but have been ordering Ambrotose, so they may not have had high spending, but I'm looking at when did they sign up and how much have they spent. So someone may have only been in 6 months and have spent $4,000. I want to find out what they're using. So that's one of my marketing ways of finding the beginnings of my evangelists, I call them, my product evangelists. I did it when GI Pro Balance came out. I did it when Man & Bears came out. When new products come out, I look to target who's got children, who's got... Ambrotose Life is for everybody. I think every single person that's taking Nutraveris or Complex or Advanced wants to be on Ambrotose Life. I just need to have more people in my team that are sharing it to get the buzz going. So I go to my big spenders first. Then I go to... What's that?
Oh, just a quick question. We haven't seen the product information for Australasia yet, but I know the U.S. byline is the most powerful supplement you can take for your health. That's a very customer-friendly statement, isn't it?
It is.
Something like that, or how do you describe it?
I do. I say this is... I tell them when I first heard Dr. Nugent talking about it. Now, Dr. Nugent's this burly former Marine, and it brought tears to his eyes. He was so excited about it.
No, you're never a former Marine, JoEllen. You're always.
No, he told it's funny. I have a lot of Marine friends. You can't call them an ex-Marine, but you can call them a former Marine. Former's okay, because if they walk like a Marine and talk like a Marine, they're still a Marine. But he was a former Marine, and they'd have this stiff upper lip kind of thing. But it brought tears to his eyes, tears of joy and tears of sadness that they couldn't have gotten it out even sooner. But he was that excited about it. And I know Dr. Nugent's a corporate guy, but Dr. Nugent is all about how can I serve these people the best. Yeah. And Ambrotose Life is a game changer. It's a game changer. And for some of us who've been kind of either by family circumstances or because of all the ups and downs have kind of pulled back and retired, this is a perfect way to regain their excitement. And having it come in a couple of different ways that make it palatable and easy to use. Nobody wants to carry a pot of powder through the TSA these days because you never know what they're going to do a strip search, for heaven's sakes. So there's lots of reasons to have different methods of accessing the product to make it more sexy, really, to make it more sexy and appealing to people. So But I like the Ambrotose Life packets as a way to let people sample it. I said, now this is probably the, the Rolls Royce of the product. The pod is probably the, what's a high-end Voxel?
Don't know.
It's a Voxel. And, but it gives you a chance to have different markets to utilize it in. But again, it has to begin with people who have been using the product, for your existing customers, for your existing associates. And I reach out to my team leaders, and I don't strike a bargain with them. I strike a challenge with them to develop their story around Ambrotose Life. What is your story?
Yeah.
I've been using Manatech products for years, and I was hesitant to try the new product, but I tried it, and this is how I felt. This is so. The same way you tell your basic story, I want you to develop an Ambrotose Life story. I want you to commit to it. It's a new product. You're a leader. I want you to embrace it. And I want honest, from the heart stories about it. So you better start eating it. And I monitor your orders, so I know if you're doing it or not.
Well, and for everybody listening
today,
for everybody listening today, if you hadn't had the privilege to go to Manifest or have someone bring you some back, or you haven't ordered it in yourself, you've got Michael's and JoEllen's stories now. So you can hear, you start with someone else's story if you don't have your own, but definitely commit as a leader to building your own story.
And I don't know if any of you have taken a look at it, but we have, like you have Australasia Connect, we have Manatech North America, and there's some wonderful stories on there. And we are a global, seamless downline. Log in and become members of those other organizations so that you can have a global viewpoint, because you never know who your neighbor next to you may have children in the U.S. or in England. Open your horizons and you'll hear new stories. They may not always be compliant for your country. So do remember that some of the phrasing you can use in Australia, we can't use. And some of the phrasing I use in the U.S., I can't use in England. So the library is a great source. You don't yet have all the materials up there because they won't put them up until they launch the product. But you can look at what is compliant in the U.S., library, in the UK library. And most of my business is not in the U.S., quite honestly. Most of my business is any place else but the U.S. because I'd never been in network marketing before, and I didn't know how difficult it would be to run a global business as a brand new first-time network marketer. But that was called ignorance on fire. And it worked. It's worked for me. But I want to build a local business too. So along with sharing with my existing associates, I'm beginning to share with people that I've networked with in my community. And again, asking if they would be open to trying something, because I'm marketing a new product in the region. And I really want to find out who my ideal customer is. If I give you a sample, would you be willing to try it and answer a few follow-up questions with me so that I can better serve people and get to know who this product will really be best for? And I seldom have people say no. And I tell them I want them to tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly. And most people are very willing to give their opinion. In fact, they're eager to give you their opinion. And, and sometimes it's like, ouch. But I think my favorite, not with this product yet, but with a couple of the other products where I had people try it and they said, oh, they were critical of it, yeah. A few months later, they called and said, in hindsight, I think I'd like to try that product. They just needed to do it in their own time. The longest one was 7 years. 7 years later, are you still selling that stuff? I think I'd like to try it. That was the record for us. But because we left them with a good feeling, because we asked their opinion, we respected their opinion, we sampled them with no risk to them, we left the door open for them to then come back and not have any animosity. And also, if you have a good relationship with people, they may tell 5 or 10 of their friends. If they have a bad taste, they'll tell 100 people. So remember that, good news travels fast, but bad news travels worse. And good customer service can make all the difference in how many referrals you get. Because I don't know about you, but 99% of my people are customers. And of that, maybe 20% of them are good referrers.
Yeah.
So that's what I base my business on.
That's a great. I just want to emphasize what you just said, JoEllen, because there's a myth in network marketing that everyone's going to just refer people, and they don't. And it's okay that customers stay customers, don't get involved in the business, and give you referrals. Just because they gave you a referral doesn't mean they want to build a business. So I think it's meeting people where they're at and honoring that place and being willing to serve them in whatever place they're at. And finally, again, getting back to this comp plan, it totally reinforces the behavior for doing that, because that's how you build the pods and so on and so forth. But it really is just honoring that person if you let them be, because they're going to feel good about giving you that referral, and who knows, that may lead to a business partner. And I think it has with you, JoEllen. You've talked about that way at times.
And you folks are doing this AQ bonus thing between now and December? The AQ?
Yeah, the extra one for when it's a one-off. Yeah.
That's a perfect time for this kind of reaching out to your existing customers, because they may just put a one-time order in, but it's beginning the conversation anew. Maybe they haven't ordered in a while, but you get them to order one time. You've opened the door to a conversation. Don't be disappointed if it's a one-time order. You've opened the door for follow-up. And I think it's fantastic that Manatech is going to reward you for that kind of effort. And it will pay off in bunches with goodwill, and people will notice. They will notice the difference. So worth doing. And I wasn't quite sure when this is rolling out on the 12th when Dr. Nugent is there?
It's the 15th where you're at, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sharon?
15th in Brisbane.
15th.
My understanding is they're aiming to have it ready to launch then. But they might just do pre-sales at the event.
Okay.
Last I heard, they weren't committing because they didn't want to disappoint. So
Of course not.
they don't commit till it's in the warehouse.
Exactly. And it's good to build excitement too and get people to the event too. So there's lots of reasons to hold back on the product. You really want to get people educated, excited, and engaged. And there's nothing like an event for that.
So
they like to give extra free goodies at the events too. So.
Yes, lots of free yes.
I think some of the best ways to describe Dr. Nugent is, to describe someone as being the president emeritus of the American Naturopathic Society is just like, that's astounding that somebody with that credentials, not to mention multiple PhDs. But I think everybody today can add to their story about Dr. Nugent is that this product is so important that when he's sharing about it from his heart for us, it brought him a tear to his eye. Everybody listening today can take that story away, whether you're there or not.
Exactly.
And say, it's so important for human health that this gentleman that's been teaching about this for 25 years, as long as I think I've been in Manatech 20, so he's probably 22, 23. It wasn't a year after we opened, I think.
Yeah,
so
probably right around 23 at this point. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he's been sharing about this technology for 23 years, and the importance of this new launch is so important for human health, it brings a tear to his eye. And this is a former Marine. We can't call him an ex-Marine. We learned that today.
Tough as nails and soft as a marshmallow. I love it. Because he really has, like Manatech, Al Bala has a heart for the field, and so does Dr. Nugent. They come at it from two different ways. Al comes out from sales, and Dr. Nugent comes at it from product, but they're both heart-based people. And that's what I think has been the heart and soul of Manatech, is the heart. It's all about caring for people. Sure, we love making money, but I was part of the group that was questioned years ago, way back, I think it was 2000, the year 2000. They did a survey, and they said, if for some reason the company was going to go out of business, would you get all your products onto the internet and sell them? Or would you try to buy products? I said, I'd buy whatever I could get my hands on. I'd go to the warehouse and get a truck. Are you kidding me? I don't want to run out of these products. How dare you talk about that? Well, it turns out that about 95% of the Manatech associates answered that way. And it was a direct selling survey. It wasn't done by Manatech. It was a direct selling survey. There were very few companies that even came close to that kind of product loyalty. I would like to get my hands on that study, but I cannot find it anywhere. Maybe now that Al's working with the direct selling, we can get our hands on it. But it was an interesting study that we would do whatever we could to get those products because they're important to people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've got about 9 minutes left. Is there anything that's coming to mind for you in regards to being as successful as we can and having the best launch for Ambrotose Life in Australia?
Michael was at Manifest. Michael, what was the thing that got people most excited about the launch of the product?
I think just the overall excitement of being there. So getting people to the meeting is the first part of that, to your meeting. I think Nugent's excitement is what's most contagious, if you will, because anybody that was in that room knew that this was the deal. This is the Ambrotose that would probably supersede all the other Ambrotose versions. And not that some will hang around. Like I say, I think Classic or Ambrotose Complex will stick around for quite a while. I think this is so much better than advanced Ambrotose. My sense is it's going to be that'll be the first one to go away just because no one's buying it. This is that much better, and cost-wise, it's real close cost-wise too. So I think it'll end up being Ambrotose Life and Ambrotose Complex for a while. But when you heard Nugent speak as passionately as he does, that's the thing. That's the real takeaway. So that's what's contagious, because then you take that with you, and then you start talking to your team. You start talking to new prospects yourself, and that comes through. And they're going, I don't know what. It's kind of like that scene when Harry met Sally. It's, I want what he's on, or I want what she's on. You know what I mean? Because they feel that energy, they feel that passion. And they're like, yeah, I want some more of that. So that, I think that in sales generally is probably the most important piece, how you're feeling about it.
And Kate Taylor just said something very profound, that Manifest was also the first time we ever saw Dr. Nugent in white. Because the packaging is all white and silver, they required them to come out in white. So you know that it had to be monumental for him to agree to put white on. That's how important Ambrotose Life is. It even got Dr. Nugent into white. So maybe you could talk to him.
I think he burned that suit right afterwards.
He rented it. He didn't buy it. He rented it and sent it right back.
Oh, so funny.
But he did look good, and he had some good moves, I'll tell you. Oh, dear. The best way to share this product is to begin with your customers, but it is also important to reach out to new prospects because they don't know the history of the other Ambrotoses. So you're going to have a clean slate with them, and you will get new testimonies that are crisp and clean and not like, well, compared to that, and you'll have the best of both worlds. So make your list now of people you think need these products that you haven't talked to, or maybe you've talked to them before, but you can go back and say, hey, there's something new coming, and I would really love to have you try it. And build excitement now in anticipation of it. Build excitement. I'd like you to be one of my few. I'm going to give samples to 5 people. I'd like you to be one of my 5 people. Would you, if I give you a sample, would you give me your honest feedback? So you make it exclusive, you make it special. You can even do it, on Facebook. Some of our people were doing it on Facebook. Like, I've got a free sample of a new product to the first 5 people who respond if they agree to do a marketing survey. If you want to give out more, that's fine. It's not an inexpensive sample, so you really want to pre-qualify people, not just to have them be taking your product and never come back. There's a book that we read, and I recommended it to a lot of presidentials. It came from England, and it's called The 5 Levels of Formality. I don't know if you folks have seen it.
I haven't.
I wish I'd had it 20 years ago. It talks about the different scripts we use with different people based on our relationship with them, and how one script doesn't fit all. And how would I talk to somebody that was my best buddy? Hey, I got something to tell you. I'm going to come have a cup of coffee. Put the coffee on. Is very different than what you would say to someone who's on your chicken list that you hold in high esteem. And so this book is done in a chatty way, and they have it on a audible form too, which I find interesting with the British accents. Really very simple, but very profound in how it breaks it down into 5 categories of, I call it familiarity, they call it formality. And as you make your list of people you'd like to share your products with, that book really helped me sort my people and bring the proper approach to them. So if you get your hands on it, it's well worth studying, or well worth reading. It's a great book study for a team too. It's fun reading, whether you read it or it's in audible form.
One of the things that on a coaching call with James Hannon and Naomi and Evelson of late, in regards to sampling, you know, for impact is one thing because you may feel it after one sample, and that's one thing. So he recommends setting up the sampling for Ambrotose Life in a different way and using it more like an icebreaker.
Exactly.
With the promise to be in touch later to talk more about it, not so much if you can feel this one.
No.
They're not going to have most likely an immediate experience.
I don't go for experience. I go for taste, convenience. Is this something you think you would use in your daily routine? I look for the tactile things around it. But again, I'm not going to give a sample that costs, you know, more than $2 to someone. That's just fly by night. So I really want to have a relationship with them and make it exclusive to them and say, you know, this would really be important to me. So, yeah, but are you going to get Impact Plus?
Next year. They want to, yeah, they want to do a really solid Ambrotose Life focus and launch and not have the two together. So
good, yeah, that was kind of schizophrenic for us. And you've got Impact. See, they took Impact away from us a year ago, so we were all just clamoring for an Impact. I was thinking of ordering some from Australia, but trying to figure out how expensive that would be. But I'll talk to my New Zealand team. Maybe they'll bring it with them when they come to visit.
JoEllen, there was a question asked about do you have a specific form that you use in your follow-up feedback? You know, when you ask somebody to give feedback.
Well, it depends. If I'm, again, with the Ambrotose Life, if it's someone that I'm very familiar with, I'm going to ask them. If it's someone I'm really familiar with on my team, I'm going to give them 2 or 3 samples of it because I want them to really try it. Now, that's a big investment in them. For a person that I'm not so familiar with, I'm only going to give them 1 sample, and I'm going to the questions I'm going to ask them is, in fact, when I give them the sample, I'll say, when it arrives, call me. And I say, grab a glass of water. You know, it says put it in what? 8 ounces? I don't even know what it says.
I think what he was getting at, JoEllen, is what questions, after they've tried it, what are your follow-up questions of it?
So that depends. So if it's someone who I barely know, I want to say, was it easy to use? How was the flavor? Was it something that you could see yourself using down the line? So because they can't really get an instant feeling like Impact Plus. It's more a taste, a texture, and an ease of use. Does it smell good? You know, was the package easy to open? I'm going to do the marketing questions. How do you like the packaging in the box? Were the explanations on the box clear to you? So I'm going to do a regular marketing survey of their experience with the product, not their results from the product. That would be more a features thing. Or a benefits thing. I'm going to only be able to deal with features with this product.
So it's more like a connection.
Exactly. To continue the conversation. Could you picture yourself using it down the road?
That's a great question right there. It's one of the things that Kim Klaver sent out an email recently about how she does sampling. And one of the things she does is qualify them very closely before she even sends a sample. And one of the qualifiers is, if I give this to you, would you take it? When will you take it? When can I follow up with you? And if you liked it, would you consider being a customer? She's closing them before they ever send the sample out. And I would
Exactly.
do that specifically with Ambrotose Life because you want to have, like you say, it's not an inexpensive sample to get.
If I'm doing it regionally, then I would do a follow-up thing. Once I've had them sample the Ambrotose Life in the Pixie Stick, I might have a gathering where we do a tasting of the regular Ambrotose and come up with a couple of different ways for them to try it. So if I have a product training, maybe I zoom into Dr. Nugent, but I have a few people in the room, and then we zoom into somebody and get a training. I like doing long distance calls, but having a bunch of people in the room, because the energy level of having a bunch of people in the room feeds the energy. And we do a sample. I'll challenge my leaders to come up with a recipe. How do you use it? And we give them little like the little medicine cups, just a little sample, and ask them to vote on their favorite recipe. We have a few little drawings, something that builds a connection, a community.
Yeah.
And they will hear other people's testimonies. So we will build their data bank of testimonies to share down the road. In case they don't have a great experience or know who to use it with, they go away with a bunch of stories. In fact, sometimes I ask people to take notes on the stories they hear, and the person that can relay the most stories back, Karen said this, and so they get a prize, because I want them to really engage and listen. Now you should give them a nice prize.
Fantastic. So what's in your heart to leave people that are partnering with Manatech? You've been so generous with your knowledge and your compassion and heart for us. What would you like to leave people with today?
Michael, you go first.
Okay. Well, I would, JoEllen and I have both been through the thick and the thin of this company. And it's something that goes beyond money and even individual health. I feel like we're in a point of transformation in the entire way we approach healthcare in this world, because the sickness approach can only take us so far, and it's way too expensive, and it's just not very, it's ugly, quite frankly, what happens as a result of that. And if we start with the approach of wellness first, look, you're already well, we just want to enhance it, do these things first, then if you still need a drug, hey, go for it. But don't start with, not changing your diet and not nourishing yourself or detoxing yourself and expecting a drug to do it all. So for me, it's a bigger mission that way, and what we can do to really, add something to the world.
Thank you. JoEllen?
And my takeaway, I guess, what I always want people to understand is that what I love about Manatech is that many of the people have what we call a servant's heart. It doesn't mean that we're subservient, but we serve from the heart. But change happens all the time. And sometimes when you have a servant's heart, your feelings can get hurt easily when change comes along. So I say keep a beginner's mind, a curiosity, an eagerness to learn new things, so that you're always in that spirit of wonder and curiosity and in the servant's heart. So a student's hat and a servant's heart will take you so far in this company. It'll take you so far in life, because you'll build good relationships that are based on trust and understanding. And it doesn't take a lot of effort, but it does take effort. And the thing that makes me sad about this world is that people are geared into their electronics. They're looking down instead of looking in the eyes of the people that are in front of them. And I like eye contact. I always say I built a belly-to-belly business. I'm a whiz on the computer. I love the computers. But I built a belly-to-belly business because I love people. And that's what I think is the heart of Manatech. We love people, and we will do what it takes to help them find this health freedom, this financial freedom, this time freedom, this freedom just to live life. So
those are the relationships that stick as well. So
exactly. So relationships and the heart of this company, you're in the right place. Just reach out and don't limit yourself. It's easy, like Michael said, we've been through the thick and thin. And there were times when I had to draw back and regroup and say, okay, is this really what I want? And then I take my products that morning. I'm like, boy, everybody needs these products. Then I'm right back on my horse again because everybody in the world needs the products. And that's the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, you guys. You've blessed us all today. There's a lot of gratitude in the comments. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to Australasian Connect on Facebook and send me a message. You'll get notification of the call straight to your, it gets texted to you, which some people are finding quite convenient. And stay tuned, and I'll find somebody amazing for next week. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for your great work there, Sharon. You do a good job. It's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for your focus, and Gary, for you guys being there so long. We did calls for years, and it's exhausting, and it's worth every minute of it to the team. And like I said, I usually learn more than I ever teach.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you very much. Bless you all that are here. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Excellent. Bye.
Bye-bye now.